Recently, Netflix flashed me a shiny new Sundance-approved documentary, No One Speaks, and since I'm a fan of a really good documentary and the whole free speech thing, I thought I'd give it a go. I was wrong. First of all, dancing around done by this movie makes it fucking impossible to watch. And the heartstrings they try to tug and unsuccessfully do just fucking annoyed me. But maybe that's because I'm a cis white male and I hate to feel. And finally, it was a YouTube video. I would flag it for spamming and misleading content because while it promotes itself as the coverage of the child between Gawker and Hulk Hogan, it seems to do that. It throws in all these side stories to make you feel, or try to make you feel, and then ties it all together back to the hate bandwagon for Trump. Can't I go anywhere without hearing from his fans or haters? That got me thinking about how much better of a documentary got denied by Netflix, The Red Pill, despite a fucking campaign or some bullshit like that. Comparing the two would be like comparing a dog treat to a steak. Steak. But I'll try to do it anyways. The Red Pill puts you in the seat of a feminist looking to expose the hateful nature of the men's right movement, and finds herself changed as she hears about these usually well-educated men lay out the bare bones, facts, and horror stories of half the shit men have to go through in this society when it comes to the social roles, having to have them fit into it, and generally the parental nightmares that some of these men and year-long court cases that usually end up in defeat have to go through, opposed to No One Speaks, which starts with the premise of a court case, Gawker vs. Hulk Hogan or Terry, whatever the fuck his name is, and devolves into a messin' jump around, cut jump that is probably made for the millennial crowd that from the get-go has an air of detachment, thanks to looking as Terry as his character Hulk Hogan as he played for so long, and a long line of yellow rag douchebags they interview on the events of the surrounding case, them jumping from fear-mongering of the rich controlling the media to the trial is so disoriented at first. But once it seems to be getting into the trial, they pull the rug out from the audience and get heavily back into the anti-Trump message that is found sorely throughout this fucking documentary. And they follow it up with the big facts that the rich, gay supporter of Donald Trump was paying for the lawsuit. From there, it goes down the yellow brick road of other rich people abusing their powers to mess with the mass media or little media or whatever fucking size media Goldilocks decides to go down. Comparing them head to head, they both have their narratives. No One Speaks appears to have a biased, one-sided perspective, harping on the rich and their minions and dehumanizing them, while the Red Pill takes a look at a movement in a sort of detached way, even gives the opposing side a chance to give their 2 cents on the subject, while at the same time giving you a look of how it's affecting the maker of this film. Enough of this dog shit comparison. All in all, No One Speaks stinks of propaganda against Donald Trump and anyone who supports him. And I fucking hate propaganda. And from a marketing perspective, I think this film is a failure. Not that the critics would agree with me. A lot of the fan reviews do, but it's the elite who decides the mental gymnastics of the world and not the little day man. And they fucking use a lot of tricks to try to get their point across. They try their best to make you forget Gawker published a sex tape and did their best to get away with it, despite basically, we're going to sue you if you don't take it down. It's our free speech. So why should I care about that? They had their chance to retract it, at least in theory. I don't know. But I feel a bit for some of the other stories that they tried to shoehorn in. But that almost made me feel more angry that they tried to tie it to the Gawker case. They're completely unrelated, and it's ridiculous. Besides the Trump angle, how they get from point A to point B to like point Z or B. Somehow it has a whole detached feeling from the film. Yes, the rich will try to do what they get to get their ways. Are you stupid? It's just not common knowledge. People become rich because they want power, okay? The film did get me the feeling that the people at Gawker weren't any different than the rich people. They just didn't have as much power or influence as those who they picked a fight with. Look at the Washington Post, BuzzFeed, and CNN. They are still up and running despite all the shit that's coming out on them. Okay, it's because they aren't that stupid. They make up lies, they retract them. They're smart about how they go about telling lies. They try to make it about the rich stomping out the media, but you can't do shit to those companies that follow the law and that are actually smart. I know I'm beating this over the head of how dumb this Gawker thing is and why they made it the central feature, but it just baffles me how they're trying to pull this propaganda off and all that fucking fear mongering that they pull at the end. That Gawker represents the will of the people. No, it represents idiots trying to make a buck, being a tabloid, and getting their asses sued. It's like people who created the document are, let's say they know the future for America. They're that conceited that under Donald Trump, it isn't good and we will lose the press. If you don't believe me, look at the fucking review on IMDb or even user reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. By the way, they don't even have a fucking Rotten Tomatoes score for the Red Pill, which I just find insulting. It's like they won't even acknowledge it. Compare that to the Red Pill. And from what I can see, the documentary is simply trying to get people to open their eyes to the injustice done to men and those who are fighting to correct it. It's well blended with emotional moments.